a good starting point would be actually like probably most of aspirational students for these kind of big universities like Ivy League. It starts for the student, for I guess for us, it starts like a very intimidating and confusing endeavor that we wanna I don't know that we wanna try and test, right? So to be honest, it's very hard to know how to start and where to start. And that's for me. In my case, I started just by, of course, like asking friends, doing some online research, and trying as much as possible, right? And I mean, luckily, I found this architecture portfolio, the company, and I tried to I don't know, to make the first approach and just see what happened, right? I wasn't sure where it was going to lead me, and I thought it was really good that I remember the first response was that, okay, you come in or you send me some stuff that you've done, and I can do a review, and let me just um, keep it for a few days, and I give it back to you so you can get a more complete idea of what you need to do, right?
You're
And
talking about the evaluation process, right?
the evaluation process, that's the name. That's exactly the name. So the evaluation process, I thought it was an excellent first step because, like I said before, it's a very confusing uh, experience that you don't know where to start. So that's like the okay. So this is a good step, and then I don't know. It kind of helps you to sort things out and organize, and maybe like I don't know, encourage to make the second step. Okay, so this is how it works. This is where I'm sitting, or this is where I'm standing uh, today, and this is what I'm missing. I don't know, like you, like you kind of. For me, I had no idea where I was standing, right, and I had no architecture experience, so I had no clue where I was standing compared to like all these other applicants that looking for the same goal, right? So for me, it was like I don't know, it gave me some confidence and trust to make this personal relationship, and that was also like a very good thing that it was like very personal, right? In I feel like in this confusing process, um, it really helps to have like this kind of conversation with someone experienced, which that's you, of course, in this case. And and of course, I thought it was very intimidating. I felt like I'm not really prepared for this, because, and I also like that it was very straightforward. The evaluation was like, this is not subjective. This is objective. This is like this is what it is, and this is what it takes. And of course, it's not easy. It might be tough for many people. It was tough for me, but I remember telling actually my dad that, you know what, I think I found exactly what I needed, because usually I mean, my personality, it gets challenging when I get like some kind of authority figures. I always had issues with some AV teachers and stuff who I didn't feel like they were not prepared enough. And for this case, I felt exactly like I know he's gonna be exactly what I need from um, not learning or like teaching uh, point of view, but like more like a mentor kind of thing, and which I feel is like the key difference of having a consultant and having a mentor, right? A consultant is like, okay, this is a business relationship and that's pretty much it, which I know it is because this is a business. However, I felt like, okay, this is I can I feel it I feel this professor, even though he's a consultant, I feel him like he's like my professor and a mentor, and he is not gonna she's not gonna go light on my he's gonna be straightforward, and that's how it was. And I don't know, it I felt it kind of woke me up, like, okay, dude, this is what you want, so this is what it takes. So you gotta wake up and you gotta put all these work hours into this if you really want to achieve this goal. Which also it came with a guarantee that you gave me, like, look, this is what I've done with all these other students. Um, each one of them had their own voice and their own background, which is also kind of interesting. It makes you feel as an applicant, okay, I can do it too, even though I'm different. I don't know, even though I'm not as good as portfolio number 3. Okay, then it was nice, not nice, but it gave me confidence to see, okay, maybe I'm not as good as portfolio number 3 of all your different cases, but you you gave me confidence, like, to see that I have a voice, a personal, a different of all the other portfolios, and focus on that. You know what? Focus on that, and let's work on that. And you know what? All these other stuff that you've done is nice, but it's not gonna work. Sometimes that's hard to hear, but it's the truth, right? And for me, that's why I was like, this is exactly what I need. I need to hear what I need to hear. It's not what I want to hear. It's like, this is this is what it takes, and this is so. The process was very demanding. It was very demanding, and there were no excuses. Even though I know I was in some cases, I gave many excuses because I was, of course, I was working full time, and it was a very demanding job. And so it came back to the same thing. It's like, hey, you decided this. You came, you applied for this, and because you want to get this. So it's irrelevant if you're working in a full time job or not. The admissions committee, they don't care. It's like, you're as good as your application. So in those cases, it was tough, like, to, it's like, yeah, who cares if I'm working full time now? So it was, I remember having like rough nights, but I remember also, like, thinking how, I don't know, it was nice. It was like connecting back to my own, I don't know, what I really want to do, and my these kind of like buried or uh, I don't know, talents that I wasn't using. So this kind of process helped me to bring it back, and actually also find new things about me that, oh, you know what, I didn't remember I was good at this. So this process helped me to find some new things, new kind of skills, or new different ways to do things, and also kind of remember, like, things that I wasn't using anymore. So I don't know, this mentorship helped me to, you know what, focus on this, or let's dig on this. This is very interesting, and like, why aren't you using this kind of specific thing? So I felt, it was sort of like For me, it was sort of like if I had taken, I don't know, like a complete course of something that involved like a portfolio, an academic thing, but it was more also like a personal enlightenment, or I don't know. It was an interesting uh, uh, process that at the end I realized of all the things. Like, you know what? In in my case, I got accepted to Cornell, and which was very, of course, it was a great challenge, and I was very proud of it. And of course, that wouldn't have happened if I hadn't gone through this process. No way at all. So it was, I don't know, it was a very enriching experience. It was tough, but that's what it takes. And like with my eye closed, like I would totally go through all this again. And actually, at this point, after like 2 3 years, I'm finding myself again, like, you know what, I miss that. That's what I need again for the next my next step. I need to go under that kind of pressure and that kind of like focus. That's an interesting. I felt like I reached a great focus. I don't know the word, but when I work on the portfolio, I was able to reach like a focus level insane because I had to. And now that I realize that, like I wanna go back to that same. I know that that process woke that I don't know, interesting, like sort of like methodical way of working towards design and architecture that I didn't know it existed until I was put through on that like strict and focused process. So it's interesting. Now I want that again. So it's good. It works in every way, like in intellectual way, but also in a spiritual way. So it really develops you like in an overall way. So for me, it was a very a
Spirit-
great,
how did it help you in a spiritual way?
because it started with the confidence it gave me, right? For me, it was a challenge to prove myself that I could do this. I could show that even though I wasn't, and I don't know, in this field, I could do it, and I could do it really well. So when I first started, I wasn't really confident. I kind of knew, but I wasn't really confident. So it started that way. First, it gave me the confidence. Second, I kind of worked through it, and at the end, of course, I actually believed in myself. You know what? Of course, I could do this. So it gave me a sense of that anxiety. Kind of left. I left behind that anxiety. You know what? That was behind. Now I know I can do this. So what comes next, right? So it's more like an, maybe a spiritual way is more like an attitude or a mentality that change. And of course, if you have that, you can do anything, right? It doesn't matter if it's architecture or it's whatever. If if it changes your way of thinking or your perspective, or and of course you're confident, then you're prepared to do whatever comes next. If it wasn't the master's degree in, and it could be very well be anything else. You know what? Maybe I don't know. So that's why I feel like it was a very sort of complete kind of journey, right? And yeah, so I thought that one-on-one, going back and forth and repeat, uh, correct, repeat, review. So that's what it takes, and it takes time, and it's so it kind of woke me up in a very good way. Towards the end of the when time was running out, it was a nightmare. It was a complete nightmare. Um, because I remember, I mean, of course, I had to finish everything, and of course, you were also very busy because specifically it was Christmas time. So and so the days we had days counted, and I had to finish all these projects, and I fell behind on other months because of work and stuff, and so I had to come up with, I think it was the fourth and fifth project, right? And also, of course, finishing the essay and all that stuff, right? So I think my favorite part was when, I think I mentioned it before, when it was actually Christmas Eve. There was no one. It was like I was me by myself with all these chemicals, with dry leaves from Central Park that were all burned because it snowed the day before, so it wasn't fresh anymore. So I had this bathtub of full of water, and I throw in the leaves, so they had at least, so they didn't break down. So, and I ran out of like thread to do, you know, to work with the leaves. So everything was working against me on New Year's Eve. But it was probably 3 a.m. in the morning, and I was like, "Shit, I have to go back." I'm sorry for the word, but I had to go back. Um, I have to go back to Central Park to find the same tree. So it has to be the same material. So it didn't change, of course, right? So I have to go find the same tree, and it was the first batch of leaves was in autumn. Now it was winter, so it wasn't gonna be as fresh as before. So it was gonna change the material, of course, naturally, right? Because it was an organic, um, uh, I don't know, process. So it was very interesting how like each day that passed changed everything, the context, the I don't know. It was more issues and more problems. So it was, but at the same time, I remember being like having a fulfilling sense. I don't know, like this is good. This is good. This is what it takes. So, I'm anxious, but this is this is cool. I don't know. It was like that's probably the moment I remember the most during the process, and I enjoyed it.